Welcome everyone that has just joined. My name is Ilaria. I'm the Heritage Engagement Officer here at Edinburgh Printmakers. If you have any issues throughout the call today, please just write in the chat and I will see it and I'll attend to it. So to start us off, welcome. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is the first talk of a new series of online talk called the Art of Printmaking International, which Edinburgh Printmaker has launched this year. The series of 5 talks aims to present the work and the history of 5 printmaking studios based all over the world and connect their respective audiences and networks to each other. This program is part of Castlemill's Then and Now, which is a heritage engagement project by Edinburgh Printmakers and supported by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. So it was made possible by money raised by National Lottery players. Please all join me today in welcoming our first studio, Finns Grafiske Verkstedet, Funen Printmaking Graphic Workshop, is a printmaking studio based in Odense, Denmark, and we have here today Kirsten and Lene joining us. I'm also joined today by my colleague Sally Mayers, who will be our moderator for the evening. So Sally is the EP studio technician, specializing in woodcut and linocut printing, as well as laser cut and digital processes. And her artistic practice also incorporates screen printing, intaglio, etching, and bookbinding in zines. Sally recently undertook a practical research residency at Funen Graphic Workshop, where she primarily etched copper plates with ferric chloride, incorporating sugar lift and aquatint into her drawing practice. Since then, she has integrated her skills as an etcher into her role as studio technician at Edinburgh Printmakers and her illustration practice alike. She actually joins us today, not from Edinburgh with me, but from the Center for Graphic Arts in Ljubljana, Slovenia, where she is teaching screen printing and undertaking their master's printers residency. So Sally's very busy. Before I pass it on to her, I would just like to ask all attendees to please remain muted for the duration of the talk. After Lene and Kirsten's presentation, there will be time for questions where you can either use the raise hand option, which you can find at the bottom of your screen under reactions, and wait for Sally to call on you to ask the question, or you can type your question in the chat and I will read it out on your behalf. Just so everyone is also aware, the talk is currently getting recorded and it will be then uploaded to our website and made public. So if you prefer to not speak, you're more than welcome to use the chat at any point. So yeah, Sally, I'll pass it on to you, and thanks again everyone for joining.
Okay, thank you very much, Ilaria. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending. It's lovely to see you again, Lena and Kirsten. Nice to see familiar faces. I'm just going to briefly introduce the workshop. So Funen Graphic Workshop is a unique cultural institution that creates professional visual art and thereby contributes to marking Funen as a part of the country with a rich and varied cultural life. The studio exists because there is a strong community of interest among graphic artists who want to develop the art and graphic professionalism. In the studio, strong graphic traditions are cultivated and developed, and from here, knowledge of the potential of the graphic medium is spread. Funen Printmaking Studio is both a workshop, an artist in residence, a gallery and a shop. That is a small ecosystem with a strong history and a derived unique spirit. So we're joined by Lena Lebeau, studio manager of Finns Graphic Workstead. And Lena is a painter and printmaker and has been a studio manager at Funen since 2012. Having previously taught printmaking and drawing at Svenborg Art School. Between 2011 and 2018, she was appointed by the Arts Council in Faaborg Midtfyn municipality. And for Lena, printmaking has a vivid social and experimental connection to our minds, which she strives to develop daily. We're also joined by Kirsten Muchtich-Kesselager, the association president. She's the association president of Funen Graphic Workshop, where she also teaches the children's printmaking courses. She holds a master's degree from Funen Art Academy and has many years of experience both drawing, teaching, painting, and printmaking, and as a school teacher. Kirsten's own art practice involves different printmaking techniques such as etching, lino cut, and intaglio, and as well as painting and watercolor and mixed media artwork. And she has a great interest in how to develop the Finn's graphic work studio with a more sustainable practice. And she sees great value in the studio's open approach and connection to other workshops around Denmark, other Nordic countries, and the rest of the world. So thank you very much for attending, both of you. It's lovely to welcome you to the discussion. And I think I'm going to start by asking you a question, basically about the history of your studio and when was it founded? If you could tell us a little bit about your organization.
Thank you. It was in the beginning of the 70s. There was a group of artists. Some came from Copenhagen to Funen, Odense, and some taught here at the was supposed to be the Fine Art Academy later on. And then they meet up and they were printmakers and they had a huge interest in doing printmaking. And back then there was a younger man called Peter Brandes, who had a friend who was going to be, or who would like to be, in the city council. And this friend asked him, he became a politician later, he asked Peter to do some prints for him, to some posters, so he could be elected. It's just like the American election here. So he did that, and this Uffe Larsen, he was elected for the city council. And then he came back to Peter and said, so what can I do for you? And Peter said, why not do a printmaking studio here? Nobody wants to live in those houses next to the big road. There was a big road in the middle of the city. They built in the starting of the 70s. And so slowly it developed, and we had a studio here and 2 houses actually, what we call a workshop studio, and then a place to live for the one who was taking care of the studio. And then slowly it came alive, and we had this studio founded, and later on we had a new building with a gallery and more space. So we're very happy to be located this way, and also that we are like founded by the artists, and not by some office person in the city council, but we founded it. So do you have something to add?
No.
You're doing good.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I wanted to ask also about your studio structure, and if you'd mind giving us a bit of background to your education program, how that fits in with the studio practice.
The studio structure, do you mean like how we are located and situated, or do you mean like how we do it with the organization?
I suppose about the organization and how education plays a role in the way that you run the studio, essentially.
Yeah. So we have like, there's a board. We are what we call an institution owned by ourselves. But we have sort of, it's a kind of an association. It started as an association. So we still have the board, and it consists of 7 members, 5 from our association, and then 2 from elsewhere. At the moment we have 2 persons, one who is working at the museum next door, the Hans Christian Andersen Museum, and another one who had been advocate,
Lawyer?
A lawyer, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So they're helping us. And then we have like meetings whenever possible. And then we have nearly 300 members. Some live abroad, but a lot here on Funen. And then I'm employed since 2012, and then we have some who helps us and a lot of volunteers who is helping.
Yeah. yeah, we have groups on the working groups who takes care of different things like the studio, how it's managed and or how it's organized, and to make better things in the studio. And some who take care of the exhibitions. And what else do we have? Like for when we have other projects, we have other groups who take care of, and all of that is voluntary work.
Yeah.
From the members.
Yeah, great. I remember that from visiting the studio, being so impressed by how hands-on the members of the studio are in maintaining it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
like sort of almost like a cooperative effort that everyone's making. It's just really refreshing to see, and everyone takes accountability for the space very well. It's lovely.
And then you asked about the education program. Then we have, as I said in the start, a Fine Art Academy here in Odense in Funen. But like many places, they don't have any printmaking studio anymore. So we kind of take someone in if they have interested in printmaking, and they can come here with someone with a printmaker, like a master printmaker, you can say, and then they will like be taught how to do printmaking. And at the moment we have had 3, last year we had 3 students from the Fine Art Academy, and just today there was a new one. So it's kind of, it's slowly spreading, the word is slowly spreading, and people are looking forward, because at the Fine Art Academy they have nothing. they only taught in concept art, and of course they have the computers and the social media, but next to that there's nothing left. So they're happy to come where somebody would like to teach them something.
And I remember as well, there was quite an active sort of education program of classes that take place in studio space as well. So that's Kirsten, is that your area?
Oh, for the children? Yes, yes. We have for, I don't know, how many years was that? Since this became part of the
it
studio?
Was 17, I think. It was 2017,
well, some years. Yeah. We have had a program for children, 2 days, 2 afternoons in the week, where they can come for 2 hours and be taught different techniques. And it's from about 7 years old until about 13 years old. So it's a mixed group, a small group of 6 to 8, the maximum that we can have here. So they have a nice time together working with this art, and experience new techniques which they are not familiar with at all. So it's very often very joyful and fun for them. So it used to be 2 times a week, now it's only 1 time a week. So of course it takes up some space for the other members here who wants to use the workshop. So we changed it a little bit to only 1 day a week, but still it's a nice mixture of age and different ways of exploring the graphic art. So we think it works very fine. Yeah,
we actually think it's very important to have to teach kids about printmaking, because if we don't, then who will take it on after us? Our members are, a lot of people are like, retired and in the 60s or even older, 80s, 90s. So if we don't like teach people, new people, younger people, how to do printmaking, it will maybe die with us. So that's why it's very important.
That's one of our challenges, actually, is the age level, or what do you say? Because as Lena says, we have a lot of not that young artists, so we want to feed the member group with younger people. And so we're very happy to also have the students from the Art Academy. So that is one of the things that we're working with, to get more members that are younger, and which is also important when you think of the graphic art as a, what's it called? Yeah, as something that is somewhere dying out because of the digitally way of working with art is becoming more and more common. So this is like one of the few places where you can really work with your hands and explore all the tactile things that are around this way of working with art. So we see that as a very valuable thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people working in printmaking who would agree with that sentiment surrounding heritage crafts.
Yeah,
trying to keep it alive and make it accessible for everyone. So that's interesting. That's great to hear. I'm just going to ask about the structure and the work that's developed within the print studio and changed potentially since the early years. Obviously, you mentioned already the slight change in the studio renovations to present a sort of broader education program. But is there anything else that you've seen develop since the early?
Yes. In the start, we didn't have the gallery space. We only had the studio, and upstairs there was like a coffee room, and there was some space where they had drawing once a week, croquis once a week. We still have croquis, but now we have a bigger space. So the kind of the gallery thing came in the 90s and the late 90s, and it was better for us this way, because then we have a possibility of earning some money for both for the artist but also for the institution, so keep it alive. Because we are founded with a little money from the municipality, from the city hall, and then from what we sell, and then the members pay a fee, annual fee. So it has developed into a sort of a gallery space as well. So we are more open to everyone who would like to visit us. So it's like kind of open up, I think, since the 90s.
And maybe also we should mention we have courses also for our members, but also for people who come from outside in the different techniques. So we have around maybe how many, 8?
Yeah, approximately, yeah.
In the year, during the year, 8 different courses in different graphic techniques where everybody can participate. So
that's great. So it leaves open the opportunity to do sort of skill sharing amongst the members.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, which is a great part of the way that we find the atmosphere in the workshop. It's very important to share your knowledge, also just to help each other when you're working here. You can ask the other artists if you need a help. Yeah. So that's also very important for us to be like this open place.
We actually also use other studios in that sense when we see a problem. Is that your phone? Okay. Just wait just a minute. That was just the phone. I'm sorry. When we have a problem, for instance, in litho, we couldn't find the right color to do, like we call it penny color, but there's some of the materials they are not made anymore, so we can't buy them anywhere. So I just ask other studios, and we have a member who have his own studio in Paris, so he could give me some advice. So we try to exchange knowledge, and also if somebody asks us for knowledge, we pass it on, of course.
Oh, great. I definitely found that there was a very sort of generous spirit around the studio where people were quite happy to share their expertise, which really benefited me when I was when I was using the studio space. I learned a lot because of people's generosity, which was really great to see. So I have a question. You've briefly touched already on the sort of challenges that you're facing in terms of heritage craft and sort of difficulties maybe with resources in the studio, but what would you say are the sort of main challenges that you are facing as an organization at the moment in the sort of cultural landscape?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, it's important for us to have new members all the time and younger members, but also it's important for us since we are based so much on voluntary work that it's important to make the members, more members, interested in doing this, to participate in this these groups, these work groups, because that's what's really needed here. So now we have a new, soon we will be opening a new satellite workshop, also in Odense, but a bit in the outside. So we will have 2 new rooms, 2 new workshops. And these are just right now about to be organized and arranged, and getting ready for work. We hope to open in December. So right now, for example, we need a lot of people to help us organize this. So that's always a challenge, that we need hands, we need people to help. And there's a lot of people who like to help, but still also it's important to get new people, because it tends to be maybe also often the same, like 10 people or 15 people who always come to help. So that's one of our challenges, to reach out to new members. So that's fine. I find that very important that we can do that. So of course, also we always have like a financial issue, that our economy, which is quite small, that it's good enough to provide for all our activities and all the ideas we have for different exhibitions and projects and things that we want to change and like renew. I'm sorry. Somebody wants to go in. Yeah, so that's one of our important issues, to make people interested in helping, because of this very small amount of support we get from the municipality. Yeah. So also, of course, then we can say one of the challenges is to maybe sell more art in our gallery. Of course, that's also always an issue. Sometimes it goes down a little bit and not that many people buy, but yeah. So all these different issues, how they are conveyed. But still, we have a lot of activities and ideas, and so we want to keep on making new things, and also to work together with the other workshops in, for example, other workshops in Denmark, and also recently we had a Nordic meeting with other workshops in the Nordic countries, and Canada and Estonia, Greenland and Sweden, Norway, Finland and Faroe Islands. So we had this meeting here, which was very, very interesting, and from that might new things might come up, new ways of making things together. And also, like in our artist in residence program, which is also a very important part of our workshop, we have these connections with other countries, and we want to continue and build that out for maybe more places, because our members very much love to go abroad and have these new experiences. and also we like to have people coming here as you. It's also always nice to exchange thoughts about art and graphic techniques and everything.
And learn, yeah.
And learn from each
new,
other.
Yeah,
and,
that's it.
Yeah, make new acquaintances.
Yeah.
Definitely very optimistic approach to solving that problem.
Yeah.
I agree.
Some...
I've got a slightly more lighter question now, I suppose. I've asked you about your challenges. But if you want to talk any about the highlights of the studio since your inception, if there are any really key standout moments for the studio since the beginning, you'd like to talk about.
I can say, well, one of the highlights when we had the newer building in the 90s, and then when we had our 40 years anniversary, also of course the 25th anniversary back then, and then we are looking forward to our 50 years anniversary in a couple of years. So that's sort of some of the highlights, I would say. We have had many members here, also some well-known in Denmark and abroad, and we have had a lot of colleagues and partners who we are very happy to know, and also I think sort of the beginning, it was very nice to know that actually some politicians really do fancy art and really are very happy to support artists. That's a huge thing, even today.
Definitely helpful. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the 50th anniversary, 50th birthday of Funen Workshop as well. And if I remember correctly, I'm not going to give anything away, but when I was over visiting in spring, there were some plans being made. There was sort of potentially a beginning of something that you're planning to celebrate.
We really hope that we can do a graphic festival. I think we will call it a Nordic graphic festival, but it doesn't mean that only Nordic countries or people can attend, but it will be held here in the northern countries. Here, I hope, in Odense. And in 26 in September. So we will make an open call, I hope, in the beginning of the next year. And then I hope to invite all of you and whoever, if you like to attend, it would be wonderful.
Yeah, fantastic. And I wonder what other sort of future programs and opportunities you have that you're looking forward to? Is there anything that stands out?
The future, well, as I mentioned before, our new satellite, which is opening soon, is one of the new things to come. What else?
And there we will have possible 6 screen. We have had a huge new machine for 6 screens, so we will start working with machines and doing courses in 6 screens.
Yeah. So there will be more courses, more space for people to work.
Yeah.
And it might also be a bit more open to other people because it's connected to this organization
institution,
which is that's difficult to
explain. Very open, it's very open, And then when we do the print festival in 26 and do the open call, I think there should be a theme of some kind and
some exhibitions
and artist talks and workshops.
Yeah,
and we hope that there will be something outside as well, something hopefully in the streets or whatever.
It's not planned yet.
It's not planned.
Yes, we have to plan it.
Many ideas.
Yeah, but also we will have some exhibitions in the spring the same year to celebrate the Jubilee. Yeah.
Okay, I feel really lucky to be hearing all of these little sort of beginnings of plans and
Yeah,
getting a little
yeah,
into what's
yeah.
great to hear. Cool. Well, thank you. And I just wanted to end with just a general question for everyone who's in the chat, everyone who's attending today. How can international artists visit or engage with your studio?
How can they? Yeah. First of all, it would be nice to send an email presentation, and then we can. We have 2 artist in residency rooms upstairs from this room where we're sitting now. And then first of all, I have to look with whether there's a space, whether there's a space, and then we start a dialogue about how to fund the stay if the artist wants to come and stay here. I often do an invitation, so the artist can seek some fundings for his or her travel and when they stay here for materials and whatever. And then we often do a little exhibition with the visiting artist, or maybe a course. It depends on the artist and what he or she wants to do. So I think that's the way we approach it, because we have some programs or something fixed deals with Atelier Circulaire in Montreal in Canada, and with a nice studio as well in Tampere in Finland, and with Lucas, Kunstlerhaus Lucas, where you have been there, in the northeastern Germany. And then we have with Tórshavn in the Faroe Island. It will start next year. And then we have tried to do something with Bali, and at the moment, I don't think it's working out. But Mexico is also a new thing which will start next year in Oaxaca in Mexico. And normally it's 1 month. Our artists go there and we receive artists here as well. It's the same. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. It's been really lovely to just hear a bit more about the studio and get to ask you some questions. I think I'm just going to open it up to the chat, if that's okay with you. If there's anyone else who'd like to drop a question in, you can raise your hand or you can pop something in the chat and Ilaria will pick it up. If anyone has any questions for Lena or for Kirsten.
I've raised a hand, but I also might just speak. If you can hear me still, I have a couple of questions, because even just what you've just mentioned about the different residencies and collaboration you've established with the other studios. So is that something that even other, there might be attendees or, other studios staff that then listen to this talk? So is that something you're open to, or like the Funen studio is open to, if a representative of a studio were to reach out and wanting to establish what sounds like exchanges? So you said you're sending someone and you're receiving someone. So is that something you've been doing for a long time? Or I don't know if you want to tell us a bit more about that, because that might be very interesting to hear how to go about it if a studio is interested.
Yes, it started with Finland, because here in Odense we had some city parks. How can you say that? There were some friendly cities in northern countries, right?
Yeah.
We call that venskabsbyer, friendly cities. Yeah. So, and this was in Klaksvi in the Faroe Island, and in Tampere in Finland, and some spaces in also in Ukraine, actually, in Kharkiv, I think. Never mind. So we had easily contact. And so it started with Finland. They asked us and we said, yes, let's try. And we went along with it. And it was beautiful. It was very nice. And then we had this, they asked us from Ahrenshoop, Lucas in Germany, and we said, let's try, and it went very well. And for some years, I've tried to get in contact with Atelier Circulaire in Canada, but they tend not to respond. But then we had a Canadian here from Saskatchewan, John Graham, and then he knew someone. So that's how we developed we had a good communication, and we just had one who just came back recently from Canada, an artist. So I think it's very beneficial, but you really have to like make the same, so it's like we have different sorts of program. With the Tambara, our artists don't pay to be in the studio. They only pay their own travel, and they don't pay for living there. Pay for their travel and materials and food, of course. And so so do we. That's when we invite them, it's the same. The deal is the same. With Montreal, it's different, because then our artists have to pay for living there, and for materials and for travel, but not to use the studio. That's the deal, and we do the same here. So our artists and their artists have to pay the same, but we also do invitations, so the artist might get some fundings. And with Lucas, it's free to go there, and you can stay for free. And sometimes you can even get a grant for the transport for the
a small
grant. So it's so it's different. And with Oaxaca in Mexico, we are. I'm still waiting for some answers of how we will do it, but I know our artists had paid their own travel, and I think that would be the same. And
thank you.
Yeah, if somebody would like to start with doing an exchange, then you really have to approach it, and maybe even take up a phone call or something. We were approached by Edinburgh Printmakers a lot of years ago. I think it was in 17 or 18. And it was very nice. People just phoned and said, can we come over? And it was nice, a nice experience. That's also
so it's kind of you're taking it different according to each studio, and you make different kind of arrangements according to what country. I guess it's also depending on what kind of funding exists in each country and what kind of funding each studio has, but it's very flexible. I think it's very nice that you have all these connections all over the world. It's really a great opportunity, I'm sure, for your members. I have a question in the chat that I'm going to read, sent by one of the attendees. So they're asking, what are your personal favorite printmaking techniques and why, for each of you?
My favorite techniques are intaglio, and actually I do is it the right name for plexiglass?
Plexi. Oh, I don't know.
And also, as a new technique that I'm trying out is etching in electro etching. Actually, we had a course recently from a guy from
Newcastle, right?
Newcastle, who taught us this technique. So I'm learning, and maybe doing a course later on in this technique. And then also I like to mix the techniques, and I do a lot of linocut where I mix. I just like to experiment with different techniques. Yeah.
What does electro? What how does that work?
It's actually, it looks quite as a normal etching, and I etch in copper, but I use a small battery which is connected to the copper plate and to some what's it called? Net of some kind of mesh, some metal mesh, and then because of the
voltage,
then it kind of etch with the strøm.
Electricity.
Electricity, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Current,
a less polluting, or what do you call it, less, the chemicals are not as bad because we use the battery for the etching. Yeah.
Or environmentally friendly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, but yeah. Yes.
Yeah, no, I was saying, what about you, Lene?
What
Your
kind
favorite
of printmaking I prefer? Oh, I don't know. It's I think it's that's a difficult question. I really like lithography. It's very close to paintings, and you can do a lot of experiments in it. But when I do printmaking, it's not that often. But when I do, it's more like monotypes. I do myself.
Thank you. So there's another question in the chat, which is more about the studio. So it's, which techniques do you think the studio has the most expertise in? So which one are the more used, or the one that your staff or the studio itself has most expertise in?
I would say lithography, because we have a master printer from Krakow, Wieslau, who is really really good in lithography. He also do some engravings in wood and lino. And then I think we have some very good ones in etchings.
Yes.
In different sorts of etchings, also in different kinds of metal, and also in lino, actually, etchings in lino as well.
Yes, I think we have members who do all very, very, who do all kinds of techniques, very specialized in all the different techniques we have. And so also soon we will have the silk screen with a very good,
a very good studio. Yeah, it will be.
Great.
We have
Thank
great
you.
variety.
Yeah, it sounds like a big variety. So another question in the chat is, how important do you find your own gallery space to be for your studio and members? So you've touched on about it a bit, but if you want to say a bit more about the gallery space and how it's used and how influential it is for the members and generally the studio, the work of the studio.
I reckon it has a huge impact for the members to know that they can exhibit. They can, even though they might not live here in Funen, they can send their works and they can exhibit in. We have like 4 or 5 members exhibition a year, so they can exhibit and they can have a portfolio with their works, and then we try to sell them. So it's like it's a kind of a gallery for them, for their works. So if they have like a customer elsewhere, they can say, go here and have a look. And also it's a very, I think it's a very open space. So people can connect with us and they can just open the door and ask any questions about, I don't know, anything nearly. And
also
then
how it's made.
How is this made? And why are they doing like that? And isn't that very expensive? Or isn't that very tiresome to do all that work for just one small print?
And they can at the same time have a quick look in the workshops and see people working.
It's very nice when people come in and they just like, oh, I just have to spend a couple of minutes, I'm waiting for someone, and then I can just like really grab them and say, have you seen this? Do you know how this is made? And they're just like, well, I didn't know that it was like that, or that you could, oh God, gosh, can you make books of this? And whatever. We have a nice exhibition of artist books from Sweden, from KKV Malmö, and it was so nice, and it was so strange, everything. and people are just like, oh, that's just some books, but really, and it's
Yeah.
much more than books.
Yeah, the gallery, it sounds like what you were saying, even if, I mean, we sometimes have this as well here, members of the public come in and they're curious about it, or even if they're confused by it, you know, that opens up space for conversation and for learning something new, or for engaging with printmaking, if it's, even if it's at first it might be confusing or unclear, but you know, that's a chance that they're then given to know more. So yeah, thanks for answering that, of course. So we have a question in the chat, which I'm not sure if it's possible, but I'm going to ask it because I'm curious as well, and which asks, can we see in the workshop?
In the workshop,
you want to have a tour?
you want
Yes,
to
is it possible? Are you able to show us the workshop?
Yeah,
Do you
I'll
think,
try. It's not that heavy, but I'll
do you
just.
think the Wi-Fi will?
Okay. Yeah, but we have 2 Wi-Fis, so.
Okay, good.
And it's fine. This is the office. You can see. I just turn around. And that's Kirsten going out the door. Let's follow. Try to follow Kirsten. So this is the house we are in. The house where there's 2 rooms upstairs, and this is the studio. This is some of our members. Can you wave? Say hi. Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.
Yes.
So this is the big press for Intaglio. And this is space, and this over there is for the little. This is for aquatint and our etchings now. And this is the little. It's 1 stone here. I just showed to some customers.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
A lot of stones because somebody else didn't want them. So we have
That's great.
a bigger stones as well. Yeah, but now we go into the gallery.
Can you tell us a bit what the show on display is
Yes, I
at
will.
the moment?
I'm sorry. This is
Okay.
an artist called Birgitte Tolasius, and she's passed away now. So it's like a memorial for her, an exhibition with only black and whites nearly. And she did a lot of dry points. They're very beautiful. I had some customers today, and they were interested in some English artists living here from Durham, Anya Percival. So I just had to find her portfolio. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it. And these works are in what technique did you say, sorry?
This is etchings, aquatint etchings, and she was taught in Fine Art Academy in Edinburgh.
Oh,
Get back to you. Yeah. And she lived here for 4 years. I can show you, maybe no, I can't. This door is locked. And this is more of the studio.
yeah.
I have to look at the time. I can just show you a little bit upstairs because they are starting to draw in a minute. They have the live drawing.
Thank you for this tour.
So there's some other people sitting here. Wow, can we say hi? Can you say hi? And this is the other studio. Yeah. And this is just, we have 2 presses here.
Yeah.
Space where you can work upstairs. And
Workshop. Nu får vi se rigtig aktiv.
so I can
And is that a space they use for courses?
yes, and drawing. And we have meetings, the General Assembly, I don't know if you can see in the backyard, we have a huge wall painting. You might not see it. No,
It's a bit
maybe
hard to see. Yeah.
I can go outside. We just had that made this year after a huge problem with finding someone who could do it for us. Maybe I can. Yeah, I'll try. It's a bit dark.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
All now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to seek allowance to do this from the city hall, and they agreed, and they even gave us some money to do it. So then I
That's
had to
always
spend
helpful.
more money. So yeah, finally we
Always
had.
helpful.
Yeah. So that's a quick tour. Now we go back
Thank you.
to the office and the house where we have the 2 rooms upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have seen some of the members as well.
Yeah, that was a lovely tour. Thank you so much for taking us around. I don't see any more questions in the chat. I'm gonna just leave it another minute if anyone else comes up. I had a question, just one kind of a question, just wondering if you want to talk a bit more about it, because something you said I think is a bit of a trend in sort of different countries, but you mentioned how the academy, the Fine Art Academy there is not teaching printmaking anymore. Is that something that used to be taught and is not taught anymore or was never taught?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that something that is changing? And yeah, just that kind of has happened here as well, where printmaking tends to be dropped out by fine art curriculum, but then it's brought back in. So I just wondered if you can tell a bit more about what's the sort of history of it, or situation in Denmark, or specifically in Odense, if it's different in other cities in Denmark.
The last part, I think it's the same now in the 3 art academies in Denmark. But it used to be taught, especially here in Odense. We had a great tradition of the graphic workshop, the graphic techniques, when I was attending way back in the 80s. We had a professor in the graphic techniques, and they were taught all the techniques. And actually, I'm not quite sure when it's faded out, when it stopped.
I know.
But you can tell me.
I know. Because they changed the headmaster.
Yeah.
And when it was in
Yes,
1990, I think, Søren Jensen, when he came. But I don't think that he was the cause of it. I think it was a trend that came from Copenhagen.
Yes, in Copenhagen they were.
And then he just followed up because he knew it would be a demand from the ministry, I think, to change it. So yeah. And then they gave us a lot of their equipment.
Yeah.
So the silk screen equipment we
press.
inherited, and that's what we're using now in the new studio in our satellite.
And
so,
also the press.
Yeah, the press as well. That's the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the Fine Art Academy. So
we, yeah.
I guess a silver lining, but it's quite sad that printmaking techniques are not taught at university anymore. But I mean, I guess it gives even more of a purpose to studios like yours and ours and other ones. Just so you're aware, quite a few people in the chat have thank you for the tour.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
I was like, great to see the studio. Thank you for the tour. Great to see. So just so you're aware.
Yeah.
I can't see any more any more questions in the chat. Just saying, if anyone has any other questions, that's the moment. I don't know, Sally, if you have anything else you want to add, maybe from your experience, and otherwise we can close.
Yeah, thank you so much for the tour. It was really lovely to see the studio again. It's just so familiar, and I had a wonderful time while I was staying in Odense, and I would love to be back one day, so I'm sure I'll be in touch.
Yeah,
Because it's a facility,
nice.
and the membership purchase, it was really a great experience for me. So I'm really like glad to see the space again. And it was really nice to catch up with you and have a little chat. So I guess I can close and just pass back to Ilaria, who has a little more to say about the next things that are coming up in the series of talks. But I'm going to say thank you for now, and I'm sure I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Thanks, Sally, for joining us today, despite being away as well as the magic of online talks. Yeah, I just want to pass on again. There's quite a few other things happening in the chat from Norfolk and from other parts. Thanks for the lovely tour. To close off, I mean, obviously, thanks so much, Lynn and Kristen, for talking to us and showing us the studio and telling us very generously, very sort of honestly, talking about the studio and its history and its work. I think it's the purpose of these conversations, these talks, is to really kind of hear about different realities of printmaking around the world and learn and, get ideas and share ideas. And
Yes.
to close off the evening, I'd just like to sort of remind everyone who's attending today that this is the first of a series of talks, and the next one, so they're monthly, so the next one will be in December. On Thursday, 12th December, we'll be hearing from Kingate Studio in Nunavut, so formerly known as Northern Territories of Canada. Then in January, on Thursday, 23rd of January, we will be joined by Powerhouse Arts in New York City in the United States. In February, the third talk, will be given by the Fondazione Il Bisonte in Florence, Italy, on Thursday, 27th of February. And finally, the last talk is with Spike Print Studio in Bristol, England, which I can see have joined us today. So that's very nice. And they will be telling us about their studio on Thursday, 13th of March. And I can put just now quickly in the chat the website, Funen's website, for anyone who would like to learn more about Funen Workshop. And also I will add to the chat our website with the next date for the next talk. And so also our website that speaks more about the projects that these talks are part of. So the project called Casamil's Then Now. For any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, I look forward to the next talks and, seeing you, Lynne and Kirsten, again, to the next talks if you like to join us. And yeah, just thank you again. It's been so nice to hear about Odense and Funen Graphic Workshop. And yeah.
Yes, you're most welcome.
Thank you. And yeah, have a good evening everywhere you are, or good afternoon if you're joining us from the States.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Sally, as well.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Thank you, Lynn.